Alright, what's up YouTube? It's Kevin, and today I'm going to be talking about the SAT essay, guys. This is the most requested topic based on all my comments. I'm going to put them like all around here, and you guys really want to know because it really stresses out people the most. Because you got to write something and you're like, oh my god, like it's not multiple choice, right? Now it's like someone's going to be judging my work. Am I writing good enough? You know, this and that. So let's get right into it. Alright guys, so I should mention that a lot of universities and colleges do not require the essay, but sometimes the top ones really do, which is why a lot of people want to take the essay. So make sure that you're doing this because, you know, your college that you're applying to, they either require or recommend the essay. Now in terms of what I got and why you guys should trust my advice is because I got a 22 out of 24 essay, which means that, you know, there's two people giving you a score on your essay that I lost 1 point on every single score out of 12. So, you know, it almost is a perfect essay, and I know what I got wrong, so I'll be more than happy to share that with you guys. So what is the essay? It's basically you read this passage and you have to like talk about how the author of that passage like builds his or her argument. And what's gonna happen is you're gonna get a mark out of 4 on 3 different sections by 2 different people. So this sounds super crazy, right? So here's what happens. There's 3 sections: reading, writing, and analysis. What's gonna happen is there's gonna be one person that gives you a mark out of 4 on each of those sections, right? So out of 4 on reading, out of 4 on writing, out of 4 on analysis. That's gonna be out of 12. And then you're gonna have another person that's gonna do the exact same thing. And then you take those 2 scores, combine them, and that's your combined score. So I got an 11 out of 12 by one person and an 11 out of 12 by the other person, which makes a combined score of 22 out of 24. Alright, so I'm going to mention that I'm going to have books at the end of the video where I'm going to talk about, you know, the books that really helped me get a good score on the SAT essay. And you guys should, you know, subscribe, follow my Instagram, and leave a like if you think this video is helping you. Alright, so what's going to happen is on the test, you're going to have to read that entire passage that they're going to give to you. You're going to have to do it in 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, like maximum, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to underline different rhetorical devices and, you know, stylistic devices that they use to build their argument. Now, what are stylistic devices? Let's get into that. Alright, so what you're going to do when you're reading that passage, because, you know, you have to analyze how that reader builds his or her argument, you're going to be looking for different stylistic devices. Now one of them is, you know, pure logos, which is just, you know, statistics, data, reasoning. You're going to look through the passage to see where does this user, you know, where does this writer use, like, you know, numbers, statistics, data to just build his or her argument. Where does he or she use, you know, reasoning, like effective lines of reasoning to build his or her argument. That is one really key way of building an argument that's usually on the SAT essays, different passages that they make you read. You're also going to want to look for when the writer makes reference to like authority figures, like, oh, according to, you know, NASA, according to like this big organization, this is true. So that actually helps build his or her argument by showing that, you know, that person has done the research and they're citing credible sources. So that is something you want to pick up on and write about in your essay if you see that happening in the passage. Another interesting thing is when the author makes like concessions, like, okay, even though I believe this, I understand why other people believe that. So the essay, the passage that you're gonna have to analyze, it's usually like an argument, like a persuasive essay. So they're gonna wanna also make people like agree with them, right? So if you want people to agree with you, you're gonna have to make concessions, like, okay, you know what, I see your side of the story, but like this is how it can be interpreted to be different. Like, okay, like I see what you mean, this and that. So when you see stuff like that, that is super key to pick up on and choose as one of your stylistic devices in the essay. Alright, so basically another really key thing you want to pick up on is when the author uses comparisons and analogies to explain something. So for example, if they're talking about DNA replication and they want to explain like the process of like where the strands of DNA like split apart, and then they're like, you know, it's like unzipping a jacket. So that's a super nice analogy that helps, you know, the readers understand his or her point, And you want to be able to pick up on these because these are really good ways of building an argument that the author has used and that, you know, the person marking your essay would expect you to pick up on that and write about. Another key stylistic device is anecdotes, where the writer talks about personal stories where he or she may, you know, talk about experiences that may resonate with the reader. So that's very key. If you see like an anecdote that really helps the story or helps the argument, that you should write about that in your essay. Finally, there is also appeals to emotion, where the writer is, you know, trying to manipulate, not necessarily manipulate, but try to resonate with the reader by evoking his or her emotions. So when you see the writer using like specific wording that, you know, paints images of different, you know, it paints images that, you know, yield emotions and evoke emotions in the reader, then you can definitely talk about that. So it is worth mentioning that you can only talk about, and you should only talk about, 3 different stylistic devices that the author uses in his or her text. What this means that your paragraph, the format of your essay should be 5 paragraphs, an introduction, a conclusion, with 3 body paragraphs. Now every single body paragraph is one key method of persuasion that you found. So maybe the first one can be like, okay, this author uses, you know, credible statistics, right? Which is like logos. And then the second one can be, okay, this author uses anecdotes, and you're going to elaborate on that, like 2 supporting examples, and make sure you include quotations for every single example you talk about, right? And the third one can be, you know, this author, for example, makes appeals to emotions by this, this, and that. And you're going to have to do 2 things. You're going to have to, for every paragraph, mention at least 1 quotation where you saw the author using this, right? And learn how to properly quote. You can look this up online, guys. Learn how to properly quote, and you're going to have to, the sentence after that, analyze how that quotation and is worked into the piece and its effect on the reader. So this is where your analysis points come in. Now, if you remember from the beginning, there's 3 categories. Reading, which means like, did you even understand what the passage was talking about? This isn't hard to get points on that. If you can talk about the main, if you can grasp the summary of the passage and talk about it in the introduction and conclusion, it's not hard to get a perfect score in that section. Now the writing is just how clearly and concisely you can write. Is your grammar good? Are your sentence structures like varied, right? Use short sentences, long sentences, clauses, different types of punctuation. That's going to get you your writing points right there. And finally, for your analysis points, you're going to want to go in depth. Alright, I understand that this writer made, like, you know, talked about an anecdote right here, but okay, how did he effectively incorporate it into his passage, and how did he you know, convince his readers of something by using that anecdote? What is the effect of that anecdote? And maybe even write about why he included it and what would have happened if he did not include it, how it would have weakened his argument. That is something that I should have included in my essay, which I think would have made it a perfect essay. But now it is just 1 point shy of a perfect essay on both sides. So that is really how to succeed in the SAT essay. And in terms of the books that I use, I would super recommend the College Panda book on the SAT essay, which is like super helpful. In addition to the Princeton Review like overall SAT book with the College Boards book, because they give you a bunch of different prompts. You need to be able to, you know, quickly write your essay. You know, every paragraph shouldn't be more than, like, you know, 10 minutes, your body paragraphs, right? And I would recommend, you know, doing at least 3, 4, 5 essays before the actual test date, so your hand just gets used to writing so fast, because you guys don't have a lot of time, and so you guys are just used to analyzing different arguments and all things of that sort. I would also get opinions from your teachers on your essays as well before you go into the test. Alright guys, that's about it. If you felt like this video helped you, please leave a like, comment if you think I missed anything at all. And you guys should subscribe and follow me on Instagram for future video updates. It's going to be more than the SAT, just, you know, interesting stuff coming soon. And I hope you guys do super well on the SAT and SAT essay, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.